Ladies, gentlemen, fans of the Boston Red Sox, I'm Bandit, returning for the highly anticipated video, Survivor Micronesia, but I can't use the cast. As always, I have a completely original cast. I have to pick 10 people, each to fall within the fan or favourite archetype, and each season has its own seasonal requirements. The favourites are going to be casted between seasons 7 to 15, the original requirements for Micronesia, with all these seasons being post All-Stars, except the Pearl Islands, which didn't get full representation for All-Stars. The fans tribe will be consisting of individuals from seasons 17 to 19, because I feel the individuals eventually casted for these seasons would have been on production's radar, so the 10 that seem like the best fit for being called fans will therefore be selected. Firstly, the new male favourites. Firstly, I added Andrew. Savage was a massive character in Season 7, being the leader of his tribe and assisting them greatly in challenges. Plus, like him or not, Savage got insanely screwed over by the Outcast twist, as he didn't even know the Outcast tribe existed, as well as the fact the one person to return from his tribe was Lil, who was pissed off at him. Savage proved on second chances he's adaptable to the times and can play a pretty decent triple threat game. Although, let's be fair, if someone's supposed to be the Jonathan Penner on the season, it'd be Savage. His survivor luck is just that bad. From bad luck to a bad decision, I also tossed in Ian Rosenberg from Survivor Palau. It's still astonishing to me to not see Ian return, as even nowadays I feel he would have a lot of potential. Therefore, in Season 16, I think he could genuinely get the win just by tweaking his original game. He won the first immunity challenge, allowing him to pick the starting tribe Karud, one of the most dominant tribes in Survivor's history. A lot of people forget how strong of a player Ian was in Season 10, as he was just as dominant as Tom in the game, even trying to blindside his ally at multiple points, showing he has a good ability to threat assess. The issue is Tom kept winning immunities. He got into a fight with Katie, stood on a pole for 12 hours, thinking he had ruined his friendships in the game, and well, the rest is history. Considering he was so close to the win, I don't see how Ian couldn't play a strong game on the return, hence why I casted him. My previous pick was someone with a lot of strategic potential, and this one, well, it's Shane Powers. A lot of returnee seasons have issues with being too game body, but a Shane return ensures probably unfathomable amounts of chaos, but fun. A lot of fun. In just one season, Panama, Shane managed to get into a fight with somehow everyone on his tribe, while simultaneously in an alliance with them. Created his own coconut phone, had an iconic issue with his downstairs area, and then medically helped evacuate while naked. Shane is certainly a one-of-a-kind, and Season 12 wouldn't have been the same if not for his incredible moments. Plus, I mean, this is justice if nothing else for him not getting on second chances. But I didn't just stop with Shane for Panama representation, no, I also added back Terry Dietz. Now, much like Savage, Dietz did return for second chances, where he showed he was willing to play a completely different game, and I could see Dietz trying to pull a 180 on this return by playing more socially based. Dietz provides a strong physical tribe mate for his favourite tribe, who had an insane immunity train in his original season Panama with 5 immunity wins. Oh, and he also found a super idol. Plus, even if Terry proves to have an underwhelming return, like the other contestants coming into these seasons, not mentioning any names, we know Terry will be able to cause drama and, importantly, entertainment. The final male favourite is a pretty slept-on pick for the return, and that is Dreams. While seeing Dreams on any season nowadays would likely be in your dreams, I feel a Dreams return just 2 seasons after Fiji isn't ridiculous. Plus, his cardio with Yawman is an iconic moment used to justify his return, wherein he has a nightmare scenario of keeping immunity or giving it up and being voted out. But Dreams, if he worked on how he presented himself to others, could do well, as he did make big flips in Fiji when he realised it was in his benefit. Now on to the female returnees, and what better way to kick them off than fellow finalist from Season 9 Twyla Tanner. As Jeff likes to bang on about, every Survivor season needs a villain, and Twyla right off the bat gives us a strong villainess. But But Twyla in Vanuatu had some aspects of her game that were a bit before her time, like swearing on family as leverage, as well as her aggressive gameplay style. I think the fun thing is Twyla has a lot of variance on the return. If we get a completely different Twyla, someone more social and honest, it would be fascinating. Or we could just see the same entertaining Twyla who fought with everyone or everything 7 seasons prior. Either way, I'll be happy. The original Survivor Micronesia had 3 forms of Cook Islands representation in Penner, Aussie and Parvati, so I feel it's acceptable to add a 3rd form of Panama representation in Danielle Di Lorenzo. Now, Danielle did return for Heroes vs Villains, and was horrendously under-edited, but proved she could have the skills to ensure longevity on the return. And hey, if the Treasure Island reward in this timeline appears in Micronesia, then maybe we'll get to see her scrap with Twyla for an idle clue. We can only dream. I feel this return is somewhat repayment for Danielle, having to spend most of the game with the insane Kasaya 6, but even then she had her moments like beating Suri in Fire, then betraying Terry and voting him out in spite of him saving her at the final 4. Another individual who has returned for Heroes vs Villains in our original timeline is Candice from the Cook Islands. But if reports are to be believed, Candice was originally supposed to be in the Micronesia cast, but then passed over for Parvati. While Candice was a very questionable returnee on Season 20, because she was titled a hero, I feel a less divisive title like Favourite works better. As much as I bash on Candice in these casting videos, I feel she'd make a good returnee for Micronesia, with iconic moments such as her romance with Adam, Billy's attempted romance with her, the continuous arc of her being subjected to Exile Island, and her being one of the first ever people to accept Jeff's bold offer of a mutiny. Don't call me crazy, but then I decided to cast a 2nd person from Survivor Fiji in a mostly forgotten, albeit underrated name in Michelle Yee. Michelle was a massive underdog in the 14th season of Survivor, beginning on the Ravu tribe, a victim of one of the worst twists on Survivor, where they had nothing while the opposing tribe had luxuries. As a result, Michelle's tribe lost a lot of challenges, but never received a vote. From one twist to another at the merge, the tribes were divided into 2 groups, where, you guessed it, Michelle was screwed, being divided into a tribe where Mookie and her were outnumbered 3-2. But importantly, Michelle proved to be a scrappy underdog in her season, which will translate well in the return, in my opinion. On Karamoan, Malcolm Freeberg returned just a season after his initial one to play. In Micronesia, Amanda, as well as James, returned just after China, so there's precedent set for the fans versus favourite seasons having at least one contestant return just 1 season later. For this slot, I added PG. Well, yeah, she was an early boot on Cambodia. She did have to compete against an entire Abby Maria Gomez, who was hell-bent on getting her out after the bracelet incident. However, PG is an overdog turned scrappy underdog that through immunity wins and tactical voting got further in the game than she had any right to. Oh, and let's not forget she completely abused the 2-man swap in China by taking Fei Long's 2 strongest players, throwing a challenge, and voted one of them off immediately. And that marks the end of the favourites. Also, since you made it this far in this video, make sure to subscribe because an astonishing 80% of people that watch these videos aren't, and since these videos get a few thousand views, it would really help me hit my end of year goal of 1,000 subscribers. Plus, by subscribing, you're letting me know you enjoy these casting videos, and I'll post them more often. Anyway, on to the fans tribe. The perfect Survivor fan for me is someone that is a fan of the show. Yes, that point should be obvious, but tell that to the Karamoan casting director. But the fan should also be fun. There's no point in having a Mitchell 2.0. But this is harder than you think, because many contestants casted around this time were scouted by production rather than being applicants. They needed to have some substance. As already stated, I used cast members from season 17 to 19 to be on the fans tribe. First, the ladies. The initial pick may seem out of the box, but I decided to go with Jackie Berg. An early boot from Survivor Gabon, but someone with a lot of potential. Jackie for me immediately encapsulates the superfan energy, as coming into Gabon, she acknowledged Survivor would provide mental and physical challenges, but she would take on whatever it offers. Moreover, she even talks about through her experience in gymnastics, water polo, crew track and swimming, she would bring many of the skills learned through those activities into Survivor. While yes, Jackie had a disappointing placement in Gabon, it was Gabon, but she was part of the initial majority Onion alliance on her tribe before being broken away from her alliance on the bottom alongside Ace, where, to retain strength, they voted her out. Even then, however, she proved to be a fighter, begging Crystal and Kenny to let her stay, so I could see her doing rather well on this timeline. Again, a bit of an unusual pick. Much like a lot of the other late teen Survivor contestants, she isn't the biggest Survivor superfan, but I added Crystal, who I feel with her backstory could have a fun arc as a fan on this season. But she came into her original season hoping to use the 3 Bs, consisting of brains, beauty and blazing speed in Survivor, showing at least some knowledge of Survivor and what it entails. Considering the physical females on the favourites tribe, like Candice and Danielle, I figures Crystal with her track and field experience would be a great benefit to the fans tribe. Let's just hope there are no challenges containing hills on this season, or any challenges that require her to wear shoes on that topic. From an early boot to the opposite, I also added Tocantins' Erin Lobdell, who secured an impressive 3rd place finish on her initial season. Erin has all 3 factors for me: proof of longevity in a Survivor season, a fun personality that even referred to everyone as a jackass practically every episode in Tocantins, and also has respect for the show. She came into Tocantins wanting everyone to underestimate her, which they did for the most part, and could be even more effective of a strategy considering she'd be a fan on this season. But Erin did a lot of training up to Tocantins so she could excel, so that with her social skills and game knowledge could allow her to do well on this cast. After that is Monica Padilla, who appeared on Samoa, I think. But yes, in spite of her limited screen time, Monica showed off a lot of key skills that ultimately secured her a slot on the Cambodia cast. Firstly, Monica had a game plan where she wanted to model the flirt card by the likes of Parvati and be labelled as a sweetie pie. But something you also have to credit Monica is that she had a lot of fight, even trying to get Russell to vote off Shambo with some pretty convincing reasons. She's a pretty fun Survivor character, but unfortunately got shafted in the 2 seasons she played edit-wise, so we can only hope on this Dreamcast her game intentions are better highlighted. Finally, I decided to add a little bit of chaos in the form of the last female fan, Shambo. For me, Shambo is one of the most unique Survivor contestants we have, who just spoke her mind irrespective of how silly it made her seem. She's responsible for many iconic and funny scenes, such as the "I didn't know they could freaking fly," plus her losing the snorkel. But Shambo put a lot of work to be on Samoa by losing 70 pounds, showing her dedication to the show. On top of that, she talks about being proud to be the first female Marine Sergeant to play on the show. So, for some comic relief, I like Shambo on this cast. Now finally onto the male fans, which was a really fun group to amass. Firstly on Gabon I added Randy, one of the meanest Survivor contestants, eventually turned fully fledged villain 3 seasons later. Randy, much like some of the other season 20 men, claiming Gabon to be a pretty big fan of the show, even claiming he would be enraged at production if there were unfair twists on his season. Randy also came into Gabon hilariously claiming his objective was to be personally responsible for crushing other contestants' hopes of winning the show, and it's that sort of chaotic energy that I think would be great on the fans tribe. The wedding videographer from Hell is perhaps one of the main reasons Gabon was such a train wreck, but it was great fun and even had some good moments of strategy, like his freeze ace call. Next I put Kenny onto the cast, as I felt his backstory as his sister began his Survivor addiction, strengthening their bond, was a good storyline. So that's a tick in the box for him being worthy of the title fan. Something I like about Mike White, Lisa Whelchel and other celebrities not innately suited to the island life is a juxtaposition of them being Goliaths in their real life while David's on the island. Kenny, even nowadays, is a highly respected Super Smash competitive player, so it'll be fun seeing him on the Underdogs tribe this season in spite of his success in his chosen field. Plus, this allows me to bring Kenny and Crystal together, who were a fun pair on Gabon. Moreover, Kenny could do pretty well in this cast, given his underrated social skills. I mean, he was the only one to form a bond with Michelle. That's pretty impressive. Then I tossed in Coach, who is obviously one of the best characters in Survivor history. A lot of the fans on these Fans vs Favourites seasons are a bit blander compared to their returnee counterparts, and well, with Coach we don't have to worry. We have his Dragon Slayer motif, eccentric personality, and also the fact that he decided to nickname himself Coach before going out on Survivor, just because he coaches a women's soccer team. Seeing Coach already feeling the need to prove himself on his original seasons with his ridiculous stories will likely become even more ridiculous if interacting with Survivor returnees. I mean, he was on the island with Boston Rob for 5 whole minutes in Heroes vs Villains and began thirsting over him. And for any commenters about to criticise my fans tribe for being a complete dumpster fire, you're not wrong, but you can't look at a tribe with Randy, Shambo and Coach and not want that to have actually existed. From Dragon Slayer to Wizard, I also put Fishback on the cast. In spite of being recruited for token chains, Stephen was a massive fan of the show and wanted to play an extremely devious game coming into token chains. Now Stephen nowadays is perhaps one of the most recognisable Survivor contestants, as his co-host to Rob on Rob Has a Podcast. He's got one of the highest Survivor IQs, and I feel he could replicate his success of reaching the end, even if against the odds, on the fans tribe. After all, on his original season token chains, he managed to make it to the final 2 in spite of being down 4-6 coming into the merge, then 3-6 after Joe's medical evacuation. Plus, on a tribe filled with extreme personalities, I could see Stephen pulling the strings from the shadows, manipulating people where he sees fit. On the topic of manipulating people and individuals that have reached the end, obviously one of the biggest locks for a fans tribe in this era is Russell Hantz. Russell coming into Samoa talked like a true Survivor fan, wanting to be a link in the chain evolving the game of Survivor with his more dominant gameplay style, and in that regard he certainly walked the walk. Perhaps less known is Russell tried applying to another CBS series, Pirate Master Season 2, but it got cancelled. Seeing an individual in the fans tribe, finding an idol after idol, and using them to great effect, as we know Russell can, will cause interesting dynamics, especially considering he'll have some villainous egos to contend with, like Randy and Coach. Plus, seeing a fan as solely strategic as Russell would be a switch up from the stereotypical under-the-radar fan on a fans versus favourite season. Russell has completely changed the game of Survivor and holds many individual records, such as being the first person to save another individual by playing an idol on them. For such a heavy hitter, you can't look at Russell and pass him up. But that's the end of the video. Let me know what you thought of my cast, which should be popping up on the screen now, and comment below what your dream cast would have been. A massive shout out to all my subscribers for helping me hit 500 subscribers, and if anyone is watching that hasn't subscribed, make sure to, as we begin the climb to 1000 subscribers. Nonetheless, thanks for watching. Here's a video where I destroy another Survivor cast and build it up from the ground. This time it's Survivor All Stars. Have a great day, and peace!